Thank you all so much for coming. Well, I am so honored and pleased to be able to introduce you to Livier Ayón this morning. When I met Livier more than 10 years ago, I was so excited that she wanted to do violence prevention, youth development, as I had done since 1993, when I was asked to direct a violence prevention campaign led by students in 50 high schools across the state of Massachusetts. After retiring in Chapala in 2009 with my husband, I hadn't dreamed I'd meet someone like Liv, who shares my passion for empowering youth with confidence and skills to create peace with others and to make their world more peaceful and just. So Liv and I, we teamed up to plan and give some hip help increase the peace workshops at the International Institute here, at Love in Action, and here at LCS. So I'm very glad that you all came today to learn about AbrazoPaz from its talented creator, Livier Ayón. Please welcome her. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming here. I'm so glad to have your introduction, Barbara, because it's been also a very inspiring time when you see people who can connect and we have a vision. Many things can happen with that, and that's part of the invitation for today. So again, thank you for coming. And Alan McGregor, her husband, they supported my university studies, and I want to use this moment also to thank them, because they saw something, a potential that was before I could really name my dreams. So being here also warms my heart, because every time I see people coming together reminds me that it is together that we can make changes, that we can do something, and there's this togetherness more and more that is inspiring me to move things and to do things that can transform lives. So what is AbrazoPaz? AbrazoPaz, the translation in English, is embrace peace. And together, even the smallest action with intention can really become a seed of peace that, in multiplying just like every drop in the ocean, can really make a difference in our world. And so this phrase also captures why I'm here. And sorry if you hear some little candy here. I've been taking care of my throat that I've been having, but I'm taking care of that now. So as Gandhi said, in a gentle way, you can change the world. And that's one of the inspiring quotes and thoughts and ideas that move me into that direction. So AbrazoPaz builds a culture of peace in the way that is AbrazoPaz builds a culture of peace from the inside out. Its main purpose is to center on 15 to 18 years old, but from within the relationship with themselves, and to become compassionate leaders in their communities. And so these are all rooted in relationship, again, with themselves, with the people around them, and expanding to the larger community and the environment that holds us. So we focus in strengthening their capacity for self-leadership, awareness, and repeated actions that are rippling, small, like little by little actions that can have a rippling effect. Through experiential peace education, nonviolence practices, and deep accompaniment, this is through mentorship. This is building from resilience, but also building more resilience from the tools and the process And I will explain a little bit more about how that looks like in a program. So how can Lake Chapala communities cultivate a culture of peace? I have been here, we have been here, my husband and myself, living for 25 years. And I've witnessed deep beauty and deep need. With the young people, something that I discovered recently was that the largest population in this area, at least where I live in Cocotepec and also in this area, but mostly in Cocotepec, the local population, the biggest local population is young people. So we see from that the importance, the need, and the importance and the need to keep partnering and joining efforts to support this population, but not only that, and you will see why. So the important thing here also is that during this time, I continue to learn, build, and apply my work, but that is, peace is not an abstract concept. It's woven in relationships, as I said, but it starts from within. When we have peace with ourselves, we are able to project and give peace as well. So peace is, I'm very convinced with this, that peace is a practice, actually. So how many of you here know what peace education is? I'm just curious. Okay. We have about 2 people. Okay. Okay, 2 people there. Do you want to share what you know about peace education?
I'm just thrilled that you're up there.
I don't know that that's exactly peace education, but...
Well, because it is an inside job.
Yes.
And once children, I started in 5th grade and have gone through, 92-year-olds. But it is something that once they know who they are, they have peace. And who they are is not who they're taught that they are in the regular socialization system. Mm-hmm. And I assume, by just looking at you and what you're doing, you're teaching them a lot of different things.
Yes, there's a lot of different things.
And so I'm just thrilled, and I hope I'm ready in about 2 months to get this thing going. And here you are, and I don't have to get it going because you got something going, and possibly I can just join with you.
Okay, we can talk more. Well, as you can probably start to get from some of the things shared here, and your name again was?
I'm Gailey.
Gailey, thank you, Gailey, for participating. Peace education is the way to prevent violence. Okay, again. And build peaceful communities by teaching alternatives to harm. So many of the things, and that's one of the things that came very clear in my studies, is that of course, when we don't know how to do that, when we don't have the skills, when we don't know how to communicate, when we don't know how to relate, we just go to the old patterns. We just go to what we learn. And we have so many ways in our society, in our families, to learn things that are not exactly constructive. And so this is what we repeat because that's what we see everywhere. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Any questions so far? Okay. So, because I have seen over and over what an act of presence and connection can do, a little moment can really have a big impact in a person, whether that's a young person, a child, but also within ourselves. As adults. So I want to get those who have the flyer. I forgot that in the back you will see some outline. So I'm following that, if that helps you following what I'm speaking to. So I'm going to talk about the inspiration, and let me start with the story of Noah. So there was this time in 2014, and Barbara was there actually, where through DIF, I was invited to give the first program in El Chante. In El Chante, there was the room full with 50, 60 families with their children. And at that time, one of the women, when I was just doing an exercise, a taster for young people there, she approached me and looked desperately and asked, "Can you come and see my child? He's at the back of the room." So I approached this boy. He's at the very corner of this room, just kneeling down and wanting to be invisible, really. He was just hiding, and he's hood down and black and just doesn't want to look up. I was trying to look at his eyes and find out what was going on, if I could connect with him in some way. And all I could do was like, "Do you want to come and try one of the games we're doing in front?" Okay, so he comes, right? He's trying those games, and he looks like his eyes lifted and a little bit of spark there. So I just invited him to the next day for the program, the start of the program. So he comes next day. And next day, he's like looking more like, okay, this can be, I just invited to the following day. So by midweek, he's still in the program. But at that time, during one activity, he hits one boy really bad. Well, not that he really put him down, but it was significant. So I stopped the session, and he looks really ashamed. And he staring at me, not able to speak anything, and just really just waiting for punishment. At that moment, he runs. I could really not hold him. He ran so fast. At the mid-block already, I was like, "You can come back!" And so that's all I could say at that moment. He does come after a couple of days. He does finish the program. And at the end of the program, when we were doing this celebration, he's teaching other children the same game that he was learning during the program. So I just want to say that that's one example that with presence, dignity, curiosity, and compassion is the heart of our work. That's what we bring for young children, but also to infuse that in everyone around us. Now, this is not the only profile we work with. Really, part of the intention for AbrazoPaz is that we work with young people who are in those conditions, but not necessarily, because we really need to get from everyone on board, those who have more skills, less skills, more education, less education. Are they in school or are they not? This is part of the purpose, that we can challenge each other, because even with adults, it's challenging to contribute and to collaborate with people who are not looking like us. So again, this is about choosing diversity and contributing in a way that brings more skills in a challenging way many times. So I want to name also that adolescence is such an important time. It's just like in time of toddlerhood. Adolescence and toddlerhood are these moments in the human development that are so critical, that our neuroplasticity is most ready to learn and to be able to capture things and make sense of them. So it's really important, the relationships we have at those times in our lives. And those are very sensitive socially and emotionally. So part of the purpose is that AbrazoPaz can get these adolescents before they learn habits for life, they make decisions for life, and before they do things in the future that are not connected to who they are really within, like their true selves. And I see, no, you know what I'm talking about. So who else knows what I'm talking about? I wonder if there are questions up until here.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay. So, and UNICEF calls adolescence a critical window for social and emotional learning. What they learn or don't learn, that stays for a long time, and is harder to reduce when you haven't learned it in the first place. Not that it is impossible, we still work with people, but at the same time, it's easier when the youngest, as you know. So I'd like to share how I saw this firsthand myself. I also grew up in a community where there was a lot of violence around me. I also grew up learning what oppression and punishment was, and that you have to keep yourself silent because you're not safe. And at the same time, during that period was for me a lot of curiosity growing, and then asking myself, why does this happen? Like, where does it come from? And does it have to be this way? And in high school, I joined, questions and questions all along, but then in high school I joined some of the leadership camps that were happening at school, and at the same time I joined Amnesty International for 10 years as a volunteer. That was the first time I heard about peace education. And I then, later on, much later, after some career exploration, I focused in human development. And I focused, and this is the career I was talking about at the beginning with Barbara Hill, I focused on adolescence, and because that was a time that was significant for me and that shaped me intensely. Now, I want to move forward to 2012, where there were narco gangs coming to Jocotepec for practically not the first time to say, but they are getting sort of established there. And at that time, I really had a very strong urge. There was this intense sense of impotence that was familiar for me from before, but also this urge. During that time, I was reading, I was taking a class for adolescent brain, and I was reading about the adolescent brain and the impact it could have in their lives. So that really brought something to me that I felt a call. There were a few days of this curfew, but that was something really calling in me, not just coming from this fear, impotence, but a real call that was a commitment to form an organization, to interrupt the cycles of harm before they will harden. So that became the seed that grew into AbrazoPaz now, Embrace Peace. So, and again, I thank people who believed in me before I could articulate my dreams, because like the LCS scholarship that I received here when I was in college, they were the very first people here in that team who supported my education. So yes. And there are many young people in the world, Latin America and everywhere, Spain, Europe and every places, also in Asia, where I've seen young people carrying invisible burdens. They adapt to chaos, and there is this pain that with the systems where we live that rarely consult what's happening inside them, they feel more unease in their own spaces. And I think that's not just for young people. I think for many of us also can be an experience as adults. So we navigate a reality right now where there's more information, more pressure, more complexity, and our approaches must fit those needs, and we must evolve with those needs. So what AbrazoPaz is aiming to construct, building structures, not just programs, but ways that are more sustainable that can help them grow. So one of the things we do this is starting to listen to people, to the communities, to the young people, to find out what are their needs, what are the things that pull them, that concern them, and what ideas they may have. So we see people not as problems to fix, but partners in transformation. So that's one approach, very important for AbrazoPaz, and we are starting with that with our community listening that we're working on as well. Well, I'd like to invite, let me see how we're doing with time. I just would like to invite a little bit of audience activation. just a reflection for all of us. Can you please raise your hand and keep it up if any of the following applies to you at any age in your life? You were shaken by a moment of violence. You witnessed a young person in pain and wished you could do more. You can keep it up, yeah. You experience fear, frustration, or impotence in the face of a conflict. So I just want to invite you to look around with the hands up.
Howdy.
Yeah. So you're not alone. This is our shared ground. You can put your hands down. Thank you. This is our collective experience. This is not only here. I see that every time more and more in our society, unfortunately. And there are ways that we can work together. This is where peace begins. Listening and with recognition. So, in a lighter breath, I'd like to invite a moment to think about that time in your life when you felt most grounded, held by nature, by the genuine care of someone. And it will be great if one person or two people can just share from where you are, what was that moment in 3 words, if they can share. What was that moment in your life when we felt most grounded, held by nature, and the genuine care of someone? Yeah.
Trust.
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 Trust. Okay. Somebody else?
I was scuba diving with my instructor in deep water.
Deep water. So you were sharing an activity together, and there was this time that the two of you were... Okay, one more here.
When I was a teenager in Sunday school, I was blindfolded and I was led around in the church in Sunday school, and I thought it was an instructor, but it was a fellow student that guided me around.
Ah, so there was also a lot of work in trust there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the unknown. Okay. Thank you for participating. And I really am glad to hear those values that come. And I'm sure if we share that, every one of us can feel that moment in our lives that we can identify this value that we would like to bring to other people who have been in similar situations. So again, we share from this connection, safety, and meaning. So this is why we build AbrazoPaz. This is how peace begins in a moment of recognition again. And AbrazoPaz is a relational system built from community listening, experiential learning, mentorship, and community application, community practice, community action. So in this, we integrate different disciplines: human development, social psychology. I personally studied a master's in social psychology, experiential learning, and community mobilization. So this is a universal learning experience. And we know it works. Let me share with you some of the quotes that came from the interviews from the program in 2016 that I created, where the fullest version of the program was in Jocotepec and Huejotitan. So during that pilots, our findings showed self-confidence, increased self-confidence. I'm not shy anymore. I can share my opinion. Improved relationships. I get along better with my parents and siblings. Self-regulation, the ability to regulate your own emotions. I can relax in difficult situations more than before. Reduce aggression. I don't hit things when I'm angry anymore. Teamwork. I like to consider other people's opinions. Empathy. Now I can listen deeply. Perspective taking. The world is not what I thought it was. And this was in particular based on a question on gender norms, when I was asking about the norms for boys or girls. And then there were some parent interviews. I'm just going to read one. She used to shut herself off, get angry fast, and argue with her brothers. Now she's patient, listens, and even helps them. Our home feels different. So we aim to launch the next full program in 2026, thanks from support from one congregation and also the APA, American Psychological Association. And we're looking for more at some point soon. So I'm going to share more about AbrazoPaz and why it's innovative and why it's unique. We're locally grounded and have implemented iterations, although not in the way that is coming in 2026, that is more cohesive, more like in different layers, and I'm going to go to that in a moment. Our approach draws from multiple disciplines, as I mentioned, and respond to the developmental needs of adolescents. Our model is culturally aligned and community built, so this is why we start with the community listening. We want to learn from the community so that we return what we found out, and then we together create the ideas part of the program to focus on those needs and concerns more. And we plan to activate networks, schools, mentors, families, and organizations. We've done it in a way that are sort of separate pieces of a program, but now we're, again, doing it together. So in this, we want to build capacity rather than dependency. And so this is why we think we can meet the moment in this area as well. So looking ahead in our programs for 2026. In 2026, AbrazoPaz aims to launch its full cycle of programs, community listening, the core program with camps, mentorship, and applied action. So I want to invite imagination here, because it is a complex program, but it has different elements that would make sense as you know more. So I'd like to invite you to this multi-layered dimension. Have you been in a different dimension? So the first dimension is this community listening. It may come from community assessment, some people may call it, but at this time is very much based in participatory action, and also bringing their thoughts and ideas into the program. And this is going to be, although I've done it in a very small scale, this is going to be the first time we do it in a more more complete way. So in this way, we engage young people, parents, teachers, administrators in the school, and the community at large. We listen to their dreams, their concerns, and their needs, and we share results back. So they contribute with ideas, and we start integrating into the program. Now, this starts to be continuum now, because we recently realized that it is going to be needed ongoing, not just like a one-time part. So the second dimension I'm inviting you to is the mentorship development. And this starts with training to mentors, adult mentors, who are ongoing preparing for the camps as guides, and then for a year-long program that eventually through the camps they are also supporting the young people to strengthen what they've learned in these camps. And the camps are the core intensive, the youth leadership for peace. And this is what I implemented in 2016, but again, this is more expanded now, because although it was brought from the pilot, now it's more evolved. And those come from 5 to 6 camps, about 40 young people experiencing a small-scale version of the relationships and environments they would like to see in their world. Building awareness and creative thinking, community, teamwork, and then applied skills that they bring to the application phase. So this is our third layer, our third dimension. Thank you. Which is the application through community action. And again, that also comes from the project, from the pilot, but it's expanded. Adolescents apply what they've learned by leading peace cells for younger children and leading mobilization projects guided by their mentor. So this creates impact in 2 levels. This is deeper with the smallest group of young people, but then when they go out in the community, it expands exponentially. And finally, I'd like to, Finally, I want to speak about how to support AbrazoPaz. Again, this is a multi-layered approach, and different stages require different needs and different skills. That is why professional volunteers, project management, organizational development, donors, educators, you name it, there are so many ways in which we can have allies and contribute to build a larger purpose as well. So community members are essential collaborators, some long-term, some in specific phases of different programs, but it's really relevant to see the participation at different points. So I want to end where we began. Together, even the small act of intention becomes a seed of peace, one that can transform the entire community. And again, I picture this as the drops of an ocean. When we each do something little but consistent that can actually transform a community. So, I'd like to check how longer do we have? Yeah. So, I would like to know, I'm really curious, who here would like to live a world that would be, if a little or a lot, just more safe and more togetherness? You can raise your hand. Who would like that? Yeah. So I would like to invite you, whomever felt that, just stand up. What did we do? So who would like to see more togetherness? And who would like to feel that there's more kindness around and just a more just world? All of us. Okay, so let's see, don't see yet. We haven't finished. So look at your side. It looks like there's many of us. There's many people. So if you would like, wish is probably not enough, right? Wish is probably not what is going to move this change. So who here thinks you have something like a gift or a talent or a resource or an idea or a friend, any resource? Who here has one? Okay.
How about money?
No. It can be money, right? Yes, of course it can be money. But it can be a friend, it can be a talent, it can be an idea, it can be just, talk to your neighbor. It can be something. Okay. So if you think you have something that you can share, you could build towards that world. So keep your right hand up. And you have the skills and hopes and ideas. Great. So say hi to those around you that have that also in common. And perfect. Keep your hand there. But these people, is this enough to change? Maybe Ajijic, maybe Jalisco?
I have dogs in my lap.
So if you have a friend,
Maybe you don't see me.
if a friend that is not here, but that also may have an idea, a resource, anything that they can offer, now make that friend represented in someone here. So just put your hand on someone who is on your side. Put your right hand on top of that person. Yeah. So now you brought your friends and we're almost double the people. Okay? So just imagine that. It's just a lot of imagining all the time. So, okay, wait, we haven't finished. This is time. Oh, I forgot to say the name of the name of the game is when you touch, it sticks. So it stays there. Okay? So it sticks and it stays there where you are. Perfect. Thank you so much. So something different in our world that is not here is now represented. And let's just bring some of those friends more. Even so things don't change, maybe Jalisco, maybe, we can start bringing more as we bring in our friends here. So look for another friend, raise your left hand, if another friend come, and they can be very popular, they have a lot of ideas, and they can bring like 20 people, 20 more people just by bringing them here. So raise your left hand and touch another person to represent this other friend. So we have now two hands touching now. Great. So some person that you're not touching yet, okay? Because this will be. Okay, so keep bringing some of your most intelligent and brilliant friends, and now we're going to bring that particular friend that you think is the most possible, that can bring something that can support in other ways that we cannot even imagine. So you can use your right feet and put it close to someone. Okay, so you can now imagine the next step is to jump all together and make this possible.
Meet your audience.
Thank you.
Let's not go to PT.
Jump in your heart.
Well, I hope that was not much acrobacy for today, but if you didn't do your stretches this morning, that just can happen. Okay, thank you so much for your time. If there are any questions, is that the time for questions? Okay, we can go next to that. Yeah. Oh, you got another mic?
Yeah, we've got a mic here. Hopefully it's worked. Oh, there we go. So if you have a question, yeah, please wait for the mic. Just raise your hand and
I have more of a comment. I'm just so grateful you're here. All of what you're saying is so inspiring. I had my mentor once said that we're born into a box, and the directions how to get out of the box are on the outside lid. And that's what you're providing. You have directions to get out of the box, because most of us see a lot of shame and a lot of anger. And that's what we know. And until someone tells us there's something else we don't know there is.
Exactly.
And so the fact that I can't, I had the gift of having people come to me when I was a kid and ask me how I was doing and listening to me. But most kids don't. And just starting with allowing someone to tell the truth about their own experience is liberation.
I connect with that word a lot.
And,
I relate to that word a lot.
And I got back from the U.S. yesterday, and I looked up what was happening today, and I was so excited you were going to be here, so thank you. My name is Randy.
Thank you for coming.
you can stand. So
Okay, I have a comment too, because I did this in 1991, when emotional literacy was considered an oxymoron. Remember back then? Daniel Goleman came out with a book, Hard Math came out, the Coalition for Emotional Literacy came back. But my comment to this woman and to her thing, this is so well thought out, every part of it. And the way that I can, the comment is, how many of you have lost 10 pounds and that 10 pounds come back on? Okay, well what she's doing by having this be ongoing, the 10 pounds won't come back on because the kids are being continually worked with, so it becomes a part of their natural state of being. It's not a 12-week program, it's not a 4-week program, it's not even a 6-month program, it's a life program, and that's how it happens, and it's well thought out. And I'm really taken. Thank you.
You've come up with a lot of powerful ideas. I spent a lot of time in education, and I was responsible for sort of a system-wide or area-wide movement in trying to improve the educational system. I ran into roadblocks though when the rubber was ready to hit the road, when people who were entrenched in their own disciplines did not see the light of what you're saying about real education being helping kids to become successful in every area of their life. I can't think of an area more important than peace education where this could be done. So my question is, are you able to do any of this transformative work in the school system?
Thank you for the question. So we have, I want to step back a little and put, again, the awareness of where we are. AbrazoPaz has done a lot of, depending on the funding, iterations here and there, with the dream that this come more fully. So that happened in 2016, the most full way. After this time, after iterations of one thing and the other thing and a little bit there, and of course COVID and all that, this time in 2026, we have the funding for half of the program. And we would like to we are doing fundraising to get to the other half of the program. Now in terms of schools, the schools is the place where the people is there already and it's easier to some degree, but they also, what I'm finding all along is that the public schools, where there's possibly more need many times, is that they are the most overwhelmed and there's the least capacity to hold a long-term program.
When you say overwhelmed, would it be synonymous also to say that, I'll tell just from my personal experience, a lot of closed minds?
Well, that can be one result of a long-term burden, but there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of demands, and little capacity that I'm finding over and over. So we're working with that, and I'm still working with schools, but at the same time, as I mentioned, I welcome people who are not in schools also. So yes, we are working with schools, but again, also, the diversity portion of the intention is that we bring people from different schools. And talking about 40 kids in one cohort, I'm talking about very few students from each school. That's why some schools are more open. That's why some schools are not so open, because they keep asking for a workshop that is 3 hours. Oh, so that it can fit between, yeah, what you can do with that. So anyway, not that we don't find obstacles. I said we are playful in the ways to be creative, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult or challenging, as my friends would know here too. So it does require a lot of perseverance and trying again. And it is opening, I can see in some ways, but at the same time, yeah, we have to go through those things as part of the process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for. Thank you. Thank you for this talk. As you, I'm sure, know, a challenge that this municipality faces in Chapala is kids matriculating from primaria to secundaria. And about 40% of the people you meet in the Chapala municipality never made it past primary school. Do you have any thoughts on how that specific problem can be addressed so that more kids are making that jump to the next level of education? How can this program help move that statistic?
Well, probably I didn't go deep enough in this portion, although we have been doing that in school so far. Again, we're open to do it with children who are not in school. But this is an intergenerational program, which means different generations involved. We center in the young people, 15 to 18 years old, who have the accompaniment of adult mentors. But when the young people have finished their process of, say, training or the camp experience after about 6 camps or 5 camps, I can share more about what that is, but not in the moment, just to answer. They go to the community to apply.